and welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Marvel Fan Theories podcast. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Katie, and we're two sisters and borderline obsessed Marvel fans who have been following the Marvel Cinematic Universe closely for years. And now we want to share our MCU discussions with you.
We chat about our own predictions and theories, plus some of our favorites from online, and our reactions to all of the Marvel content that's considered MCU canon, including the Disney Plus shows and the movies, as well as the Marvel news you need to know. Welcome, everyone, to our very special one-year anniversary episode. As you guys know, we pretty much never drop episodes on Wednesdays unless something very bizarre is happening. And so we decided that on our one-year anniversary, we wanted to come out with a special episode to celebrate all of the things that we've done in the past year. Thank you guys for being fans, and then talk a little bit about what we're going to have coming down the pike in year 2. But to start it all off, we just want to say thank you guys, whether you have been with us from day one or you just found us yesterday. We're super grateful for everyone who's listening, checking out the blog, following us on Twitter, or just interacting with us in general. You guys make this way more fun than it would be if we were shouting into the void. So thank you for being on this journey with us. It's been fun so far, and we're excited to keep it going. Caitlin, to start things off, why don't we talk about what our favorite moments have been from year 1?
Oh no. Well, moment or thing we've covered, because I think there's different answers.
Let's do both. Start with moment and then do thing we covered.
Okay. Well, I don't recall what it was about, and the listeners didn't get to hear it because it was a blooper. But there was one night, and it was when Taylor and I still recorded in the same room.
TBT.
I know. And I don't remember what one of us was trying to explain, but it was definitely Loki related.
Loki era.
Yeah, and we were trying to say something, some theory or whatever, and I just know that initially I couldn't keep it together because it just wasn't, so I guess it was Taylor, it just wasn't coming out of her mouth right. And then we just, for, I would say probably a good 10 to 15 minutes, could not record because she would keep trying to talk and I just couldn't hold it together for the life of me because it just didn't make sense what she was saying. It was a mess. And I don't know why, but that's just one of the moments for me. And like I said, no one heard this, but it was the funniest thing to me, and I wish I could remember what crazy thing you were trying to say. I know that made the cut eventually, a much shorter version.
Yeah, a more polished version that makes me sound intelligent definitely made the cut.
Yeah, not whatever you were trying to say initially, because it was just one of the stupider things I've heard you say.
Wow, does not mince words, but that's fine.
I mean, I'm just saying the truth. So that was definitely one of my favorite moments, but I would have to say, if we're talking about things we've covered or favorite episodes, I'd have to go with, honestly, probably No Way Home. Just for the sake of, we didn't cover WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier as a podcast. We do have blog posts about them. When we were like, if we're a year old, we weren't even a fetus. Oh no, we were a fetus. We weren't even like a newborn. Like we were in the womb. But I think I would have to say No Way Home, just because even the lead up for it, the hype, seeing it, and some of the episodes we got to do afterwards covering it was probably one of my bigger highlights of all of our podcasting so far. It just, there are just some movies that bring fans together and just really have such an emotional feeling to them, even when they're not inherently emotional. And that was just one of them. And just being able to cover it, and, Spider-Man was our go-to guy when we were younger, so it was a big moment, even if he's not listed as one of my faves now. It was still a big moment. So I definitely have to say, just that era was probably my favorite to be able to actually cover.
Awesome. All right, so I'll go next, because, I'm the only other one here.
I was going to say, oh no, our imaginary guest will go next.
I know. I'm just, jumping in line in front of all of these people. So I think my favorite moment, it was our Shang-Chi predictions episode. We were actually on our family vacation at the time. And we stayed in a beautiful place. Katie and I shared a room, and we had our own little balcony. So we were like, oh my god, this is great. Let's record outside. And then we got attacked by bugs.
I forgot this happened.
And this all got cut out too, unfortunately. You guys miss a lot of stuff that, happens behind the scenes that's, really hilarious that, in order to be professional, we cut out. But maybe someday we'll do a blooper episode for you guys, so you can hear, like, how we make the cake. But in the recording, you can hear us, like, freaking out, and then I think we didn't stop it, so we're, like, running inside, and then it didn't come inside, like, it came in with us.
Yes,
and then
one of the bugs came inside, and we were in we don't live in the South, but we were visiting the South, so there are many different bugs than the bugs that we are used to interacting with.
And this one was a big one.
Yeah.
And so we had to kill the guy with the shoes that we had around.
Mid still recording.
Yeah. So there's like a whole, like, probably 5 or 10 minute chunk that had to come out of that episode because we were fighting bugs. So that was a good one. That one was definitely a fun moment for me. That one sticks out. And then in terms of my favorite things to cover, I agree. It definitely has to be No Way Home for me. I think what was cool about it, other than the fact that, like, it was just a really awesome movie and I think universally pretty loved. I mean, at the onset, we all know what Twitter has done to it since, but at the very beginning, I think, to your point, the fandom really came together and said, like, this is something we're really enjoying. This is, you know, really well done. But even more than that, you know, because it did come out before the holidays, we were actually both home. So it was the first time that we had gotten to record an episode together, because I don't think we did any over Thanksgiving. It was the first time we had gotten to record an episode together in the same room in a really long time. So that was just kind of fun for me to be able to actually, you know, sit there and kind of interact with Katie, other than, like, you know, seeing her face over FaceTime. And it also was a little bit nostalgic because that's how we started. So it was kind of like coming back to our roots, you know, like 6 months in. So that one's always going to have a special place in my heart as well.
Well, and honestly, too, that was one of the first Marvel movies in a while that we've gotten to see together. While we didn't see the initial night because it came out before either of us were home, or no, I wasn't home yet. Taylor had come home. But we did get to go a second time and see it together. So it was cool to be able to do that because we usually were each other's go-to Marvel movie person for especially quite a while when, you know, we were still under the same roof. But naturally, things changed, so we had to see them on different nights at different times and all that. But it was cool to be able to go see that and kind of, in that way, go back to what we were used to that we don't really get to, even watching the shows we don't get to do anymore, which we did all summer, so.
Yeah, it's a little sad, but anyway.
Oh, wait, I actually do have another favorite moment if I can share.
Oh, no, go ahead, please.
No, I know this one's actually been mentioned before on the podcast when we were talking about it, but I will say when I remembered about us watching the shows together, finale of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I knew immediately what you were going to say. That is a good one.
Oh, yeah. I would say that has still one of the strongest finales of all the shows. And just us reacting, we were eating dinner, taking turns throwing ourselves off of the bar stools, essentially, on, like, a variety of things that were going on. Like, Bucky comes on the screen, and I was on the floor, and Sam's on the screen, she's on the floor, and it was just a screaming scenario, and it just was, like, one of those moments as a Marvel fan that you can't really do that in a theater.
Yeah.
Like, there are acceptable things to do in the theater, but that would not have been one of them. Now that I remember that, I was like, that's a good moment.
Yeah, definitely. That one, for sure, is one of my happier memories of our quarantine, I think. I, like, remember it was, like, such a beautiful sunny day. We had the house to ourselves. We ordered in hibachi. Like, we were living our best lives. And that was just, like, a really good day. So, I guess that was technically doing the podcast, but...
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that.
You know, it's still Marvel related, so...
Yeah.
We're just gonna throw that one in there for funsies, because that was one of our favorite fan moments, not necessarily podcast moments. But we've taken a look back at year one. Now it's time to look forward to all of the greatness that will be year two, or so we hope. What are you most looking forward to from now June of this year to June of next year? So it's not calendar year, because I know we've done calendar year before. What are you most looking forward to covering as a show?
See, that's hard. And I'm not gonna go against anything that's coming out. But for those of you who have been listening, you know that the past year has been amazing for me for a lot of the characters that I'm in love with, being in pretty much everything that came out. And the next year's kind of a dry spell for that. So I think what I probably As far as covering for our podcast, would say the thing I'm most looking forward to will probably be Ant-Man, which I think falls still within that year.
Yeah, I think it's the February release next year.
I thought it was February or March because of it, talking about Quantumania and that probably being the next big thing we might get any sort of multiversal aspect to. So as far as actually covering and being able to really talk and pick it all apart, I think that I would look most forward to. Just in general, I mean, another Thor trailer has dropped, so I'm starting to get really hyped about that. And also, going back to what I said when the year ended and we started 2022, I'm still very much looking forward to She-Hulk.
Cool. I think for me, and my last one is a bit of conjecture because we don't actually have timing for it yet, so I'm going to assume it's coming out during this time period. If not, we'll just let it be. But I think my first one is Thor, to your point. Honestly, that trailer last night, it made me cackle, but also, like, Christian Bale looks so horrifying. Like, he's very scary, and he's just a really good actor. So I'm excited for that movie. I'm excited to cover it. I think it's going to be really fun. It's, like, so Taika, so that's going to be awesome. I'm really excited also for Ant-Man. I think in terms of the multiverse, we've kind of identified that as like the next big moment, and knowing that the multiverse is really important to where we're going in the MCU moving forward, I think that's going to be just like a really important movie. I would not lie and say that Ant-Man is my favorite franchise. It's definitely lower down for me. Nothing against it. I think it's fine. It's just like not up there. But I think its importance is going to maybe raise that bar for me a little bit. And my last one is one that I'm not sure is going to come out in the time period, but Loki season 2. I think there's so much, the first season was so important, and I know, Katie, you have your feelings about it, but I also feel a really big sense of nostalgia for it. It is the first thing that we covered on this show. So there's a lot of love for Loki for that reason as well, and I'm also just love Tom Hiddleston. So, like...
Wasn't Black Widow first?
No, Loki started before Black Widow. Remember Black Widow came out in the middle of Loki?
Oh, I suppose you're correct.
Yeah. Because our first full-length episode is actually our Loki predictions episode. So I'm excited for that. It would be fun to have Loki in our year 1 and Loki in our year 2. But other than that, I think Thor and Ant-Man are going to take the cake for me. Last thing that I think we want to talk about before we wrap this very special happy anniversary episode are some changes that are coming to the show. Don't worry, all of your favorite things about our show are going to stay the same, but we're just going to be adding a few more touch points that we think will help keep you guys informed, give you guys a little bit more visibility into what we're doing, and just be a little more exciting. So, the first thing that we're going to be starting on July 1st is we're going to be launching a Redbubble sticker store with all kinds of designs relating to the show, and we're super excited about that. I don't know about you guys, but Katie and I both have massive amounts of stickers on our laptop, so we're super excited to start this and share with you guys the first merch for our show. So it's going to be awesome. That's launching July 1st, and of course, we'll be sharing more information about that on the blog and on the Twitter as we get closer to that. But that is something that we're launching in year 2 and are super, super pumped about.
Yep, and then coming August, we're going to be introducing a newsletter. So essentially, it'll be, well, a newsletter, what you would think it would be.
Wow, Katie, that was really insightful.
Yeah, well, I was like, oh, I was going to need a full explanation. It won't, but I'll move ahead anyway. So it'll be a monthly thing. You can subscribe to it. It's not going to cost any money or anything. Just subscribe and you can get the newsletter right into your mailbox. And it's essentially just going to be kind of a breakdown of what's coming up in the month, some cool other topics that we'll be working out, and it'll change each month. It won't be exactly the same, but you'll still have some good moments where you can see what episodes are coming up. So you have our calendar, things, that you can get right into your mailbox and you don't have to go looking for it anywhere else. So super excited to launch that as well. Just another way for you to kind of keep up with us and stay immersed in everything, along with getting some cool facts about the Marvel, the MCU and comic related things as well.
Yeah, so like I said, this has been an awesome first year. We are so excited to hit this milestone. We're so thankful for all of you guys for helping us hit this milestone and keeping us going by listening, because if only 5 of you had listened all year long, that would have been very sad. But we're going to call it a wraps on our 1-year anniversary episode. If you guys would like to share your favorite moments of our show, you can feel free to tweet at us as well. And I'll let Katie take it away with the usual Twitter announcement.
Well, and before I say that, I do want to also say my thanks as well. Not to take away from Taylor for this moment, but I am going to say, the blog and the podcast kind of became my brainchild on an accident. It just truly was like the best timing of an assignment that could have ever happened for me in college, and WandaVision happened to be coming out, so it just was like perfect. I don't think back in February of 2021 you could have ever looked at me and been like, oh yeah, you're going to actually create a podcast and you're going to actually stay true to it, because Taylor knows that I am terrible at committing to anything.
Can attest.
Well, I get really excited about it, and then if, it maybe doesn't work out right away or something, I do tend to just move forward. My brain moves faster than anything else usually. So I don't think to be able to look at it and have told myself in the past that I would have committed to something, including the blog and the podcast, I would believe myself. But it truly was this random brainchild that just happened to come about, and I'm super happy that it's a year old. The blog turned a year in February as well. So it's just a really exciting time, and I'm super excited to share with all of you what we have moving forward in year 2 and from years to come, hopefully. But to finish us all off, make sure you're following our Twitter at Let's Talk MFT. Everything you're going to need is going to be there, but if you subscribe to our newsletter that will be coming out in August, you'll also get a lot of information in that. So just make sure you're following us and keeping up with us wherever you can, since Marvel just blew your mind, so let's talk about it.